Howdy YouTube viewers and gear gadget fans everywhere. Thanks for tuning once again into the WatchBox review. Had a very busy summer. I've rediscovered the beauty of eBay and bargain hunting, and I've got a lot of watches to review, so I'm going to try and hammer these out over the next couple weeks here. So today's review, we're taking a look at Invicta model number 1848 ceramic Russian diver midsize. And you're seeing the watch here on my 64mm wide wrist. It's, despite being a mid-size 48mm, it's still very wide, flat, case-shaped profile, and it fits me very well. It's very comfortable. I actually find the smaller case size a little more practical than the larger 52, which you've seen in my other reviews. So just for a quick size comparison, there you have it. Okay, and it's also a skeletonized mechanical wind movement that's in this particular model. So it is a lefty. That's because the wind crown is on the 9 o'clock side of the dial as opposed to the 3. But I switch it back and forth. I wear it on my right and my left pretty equally. I'm a left-handed PC user, so I don't want to scrape the buckle around on the desk, and I flip it to my right. Although when I'm away from the desk, away from the computer, I wear it on the left hand, and no problem there. So there you go, equally comfortable either way. I have no problems on either side. So my wrist is about 7 5/8 circumference, and I usually wear it on the third or the fourth from the last hole, usually on the third from the last hole. So I've got a couple holes left on the end of the strap, and it's very comfortable. Okay, so let's turn the camera around because the lighting is better that way, and we'll get started here. So here is the watch. I'm going to turn off my camera light. Hopefully that's better. And let's hammer out the technical specs. Okay, so here it is right side up. You can almost wear it up. You could almost wear it upside down. If it weren't for the Invicta logo on the dial on the crystal, you could actually wear it the other way around. But anyways, here it is. Let's see. Let's start off with the diameter. The bezel diameter is a 48mm diameter. The lug-in to lug-in length is 57mm across from case lug to case lug. The case height from the flat of the crystal to the top of this bezel area is 15mm. So it's a very flat case profile, and it's very, very comfortable because of that. The strap lug width is a standard 24, and it uses 2 spring bars on each end. So 2 here at this end to rigidly mount the polyurethane rubber strap. So there is no flexibility, very little flexibility here at the strap attachment points. The straps itself have a very wide flare out sideways. So even though it's a 48mm, it still flares out quite a bit sideways going this way, and from end of this barrel detail to the other end of the barrel detail is a good 73mm with a little bit of flexibility. So I think it really does fit larger wrists, even though it's technically only a quote-unquote mid-size. And let's see, I said skeleton movement. Let's take a look here closer into the dial, into the business, and that is the main attraction to this watch, and I hope my camera does it justice. There you see a decorated mechanical wind Seagull ST36. Now the ST36 is basically an open source clone design of the ETA Unitas 6497. Okay, except ETA carves it out and they gouge it out and they make it basically almost transparent by decorating it and giving it the skeletonized look. Okay, they do have an ETA Swiss-made skeletonized 6497, but it's very, very expensive. And so that's really the key point here is Seagull's able to do it at a fraction of the price. So basically the 6497 was a Unitas design that ETA bought out when they purchased Unitas, and so when that patent expired and ETA chose not to renew the patent rights on it, it basically became an open source type of design where anybody could legally go in and copy and clone and remanufacture, so to speak. So long as they don't copy or duplicate the ETA or Unitas name or logo, the basic design is an open source design, and that's what you see here. Okay, so taking a closer look here into that, it is just such a deep, rich looking movement, as most skeletonized movements are. What you're looking at, just give you, I'm not a horology expert, but let's just point out some of the details. The main feature is the balance wheel, the escapement, the little escapement lever, and that's what basically regulates and breaks up and cuts up, so to speak, your seconds with the 21,600 vibration per hour heartbeat. So basically every tick, every second around the dial is subdivided into 6 divisions, and that's what that escapement wheel does. Driven directly off of that is your second hand complication. So that's actually a pretty cool thing. So most inexpensive, I guess, Asian movements, automatics or what have you, that drive the second hand off the center of the movement have what's known as a second hand stutter characteristic, which is just basically the accumulation of gear tolerant stack-ups from the complication to the actual driving mechanics in the gear chain. Not so much with this movement and this layout, because your sweep second hand is basically driven straight off the escapement. There's really no gear chain or gear cluster there to tolerance stack up and create a stutter condition. So it's a very smooth running second hand complication. It's a bit small. I kind of wish it were bigger, but hey, who cares? I'm not really going to critique it too much for that. Again, being a smaller hand, it also gives it the appearance of a very smooth operation as well. So there's your hour and your minute hand complication. It's pretty straightforward. Up here is your mainspring, and that's actually one of the most useful features in this dial execution, because you can use your mainspring as a power reserve indicator. The total watch and total movement have, in this particular case, I'm measuring about a 55-hour power reserve, and I can basically give the main crown, winding crown underneath this cap here, give the crown about 15 to 20 turns in the morning, and I'm good for, man, a day and a half to 2 days worth of power reserve based on that. I have a lot of other watches, a lot of other mechanical watches, most of which are automatic winding. They have a wind rotor on it. This particular 6497, or whatever you want to call it, ST36 I should say, has such a long power reserve on that big mainspring that I quite honestly don't even miss the mechanical non-automatic winding movement. I basically twisted it, like I said, every other day, and I'm good to go for a couple days. So here's the case back. It's a standard screw-in case back, a nice exhibition window. I kind of wish the exhibition window were bigger. I'm not sure why they chose to use such a small crystal, but I think it would have really been cool to make it like all crystal, or as much crystal as possible, to really show off that movement in all its detail. So here's your other half. Ah, geez, the straps are getting in the way. Here's the other half, or the other side of your mainspring. Here's your wind gear mechanisms right in here. There's your balance wheel. Okay, the fine-tuning adjustment. And your there's your escapement and your second hand complication right in this cluster over here. Really, really cool. It's just, I just love staring at this watch. It's just the coolest thing in the world, just to look in there and see all the gears and see how everything's ticking. It's like having a grandfather clock on your wrist. It really is. It's just so cool. So my understanding is the ETA 6497 was originally a pocket watch movement, and that kind of goes along the lines of why it's so big. It's a big movement. It has a big mainspring. That's really, really cool. The mainspring basically spans almost the entire radius of the movement, and so it's basically real estate put to good use in a watch case this big. So it does have a movement retainer on the inside, but it's a teeny tiny little movement retainer that just snapped like a washer, or more like a spacer that goes around the perimeter on the inside of the case. So let's take a look here at the strap. I'd love to talk movements all day, but man, I got to review the entire product, so let's just talk about the strap here for a bit. It's a standard polyurethane rubber strap from Invicta, a pair of ceramic barrel inserts for decorative accents held in with some screws. Each strap lug end has 2 spring bars, so there's 2 here, 2 here, to rigidly hold the poly rubber strap. So there's no flexibility, or very little flexibility there. And here's the length. My wrist is 7 5/8 circumference, and I usually wear the watch on the 3rd from the last hole, and I've got a couple extra holes to spare. Here's the other end. It's a standard 24, and it tapers to 22, down to 22 at both ends. And here's a pair of keepers, and a standard stainless steel Russian diver buckle. I was kind of hoping the buckle was also ceramic, but I guess they had to cut some corners and cut costs somewhere, and that might actually be might actually be a bad place for ceramic, because it could, I guess, crack or shatter or whatever. So let's see. I'm gonna try did I show you the crown? Here's the crown. It's got a little O-ring gasket down at the base to seal out water. It's not a water sport dive watch or anything like that, but it is spec'd at 5 ATMs of water pressure resistance. So I've taken this watch actively into the pool, no problem. As deep as my lungs will take me, which is about 10 feet. So no problems there. It wipes off nice and clean. That's a cool thing about ceramic. It's lighter than stainless, and it's got just a really cool water glass-like look because it's a baked ceramic surface. It just reflects light differently than like black ionic plating. It's got a surface depth to the ceramic as you look into it that my camera just doesn't do justice. So at any rate, there's your little chain. A lot of people don't like that, but for me, I don't mind the chain at all. Chains on Russian divers don't really bother me that much. So alrighty, let's see. That's pretty much all I can say about it here. Let's dim the lights. Let me just pause here, dim the lights, and we'll do some lume activity in a minute. Okay, lights are out. You've seen me do this before. This is nothing new on the WatchBox review. Lume charge using a Surefire 6P, and okay, there you go. So there's your lume. Actually, it's a pretty cool lume effect. It's just basically a pair of hands and some dots going around it. Although it dims and it's very faint. I'm kind of bummed about that. Not sure why, but for some reason my green lume Russian divers completely blow this one away. It's a cool blue color and is fading fast. My camera is barely focusing on it, as you can see there. So luminescent properties, not so great. Not really the key point here. It is what it is. I guess they had to cut costs and cut some corners here and there, but okay. The main attraction here is the Seagull ST36 automatic movement. I'm a really big fan of Seagull. I have an ST25. I have a couple now, 2806 automatic movements, and I don't have their power reserve movement yet, but that one's coming up. I could see that in the near future. Android is using that movement in a lot of their watches, so that's probably coming up. Very impressed with the Seagull movements in my collection, and this one is no exception. I actually bought two of these. There's the second one. Oh, well, actually, this is the first one. I bought this one knowing it was broken. I think the previous owner overwound it, or maybe the owner before that overwound it. And so this watch here only achieves about a 6-hour power reserve. You can wind it, and then the gear teeth, the wind teeth start slipping. But it keeps accurate time, but a 6-hour power reserve just won't work. So I'm going to keep it as a mod host, and I'm going to fill it with a standard non-skeletonized 6497. And do some basic entry-level watch repair work going with that. So we'll see how that goes. You might see me post up a follow-up review on this in the near future. So hopefully that'll go well. We'll see. But anyways, there they both are. 48 millimeters. Nice case size. I like it. I like it a lot. I've been wearing this watch a lot the past 3 or 4 weeks or so. Very fun. A very fun watch just to basically live with, so to speak. So at any rate, thanks for tuning into the WatchBox review. This is Move OTX coming at you. This has been a great timepiece for me. This is the Invicta Russian Diver Ceramic model number 1848. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you later.